Comes in the form of a Venator. Okay, we also have a minor hero over here, just a fleet commander to provide the bonus there. We have 4 acclimator 2s, an acclimator assault, and we have of course a Praetor. We have 15 Venators, 4 victory 2s. Hello and welcome back everyone to Star Wars Empire at War. We are once again coming straight where we left off, and that is by destroying Obi-Wan and Aayla Secura in the defense of Deco Nemoidia over here. That has left us without a dreadnaught shipyard over here because we could not defend the orbit over there, of course. And that's unluckily is the primary reason to keep hold of Deco Nemoidia, is for that advanced Dreadnought tier shipyard, unfortunately. So we're replenishing our troops there and our garrison. We're going to replenish something over here as well, just max out all of our slots over here. I think we're going to sell the commando team, or actually they'd be more useful than the B1s, so I'm going to get rid of those in favour of at least one standing artillery piece. Onderon will need to be improved as well. We have also lost the space around Wayland, so we are waiting, I think, really to try and intercept that with General Grievous's fleets, because he can take that on, but we'll have to fight through Argonaut and then move through Talcine, through Mandalore, then to Wayland. I'm not entirely sure that's going to happen. So we're going to... we don't really have much over here. We don't have any buildings, unfortunately, which is rather an oversight, but we did previously take Wayland as well. We've taken that very recently. So we're going to have to build those up, of course. I want one of each over here, so that could be quite a forward fortress world, with it being so close to the enemy's front line, of course. So we'll build that and maybe some turbo lasers. None of that, I'm sure, will be... around to protect it very soon, so that's going to be a problem. Absolutely going to be a problem. We need to make sure places like Sereno and Orchestus and such are fully buffed up as well. We need to get rid of the Republic Senator's office here, which is strange that stays on. We would have destroyed that previously. We're still waiting for our own Senator's office as such to come up, so we can't build anything there just yet. Just going to keep the game paused while we do build up some forces, because Tinner is also another place where we need to concentrate some ground defences, I think. So let's go down here. How many slots do we have? We have quite a few. So we're going to go for some dwarf spiders to begin with. Some anti-air would be very useful. Another unit of crabs, and we'll go for some B2s for the multi-purpose they bring. Just make sure we are ready to move with this particular fleet. We did take heavy losses in this fleet previously, so we're going to take the Viceroy from Malastair over to, I think it's going to have to be Sullust as the closest dreadnought shipyard, unfortunately, because we want a new capital ship for that fleet. New main centerpiece for that fleet, and of course using the Viceroy will give us a reduction there. What exactly do we want there? Do we want multiple bulwarks? That might not be a bad idea. I do very much like the use of the Lucrehawk, and that was absolutely working for us previously, but I don't... we're very close to ending the cycle up here where we do get our income, so we're not going to lose too much on that. I think we're going to go for another Lucrehawk battleship and then reinforce it with some Bulwark 2s. Be very, very useful indeed. And that can easily match the enemy's Victory class destroyers as well. We have retreated with Juaninga over here to Mandalore. We can see that the enemy is no longer above Wayland. And that actually is somewhat worrying. That might go to Colophor or even to Dathomir. It might well have already made it to Dathomir. Let's see. We're just getting the text from the previous... invasions and such there. So we need to move this out of orbit, of course, where possible. We'll move that over to Dathomir as well. Let's go to Orchestus. And we want to bring... we actually want to try and take Argonaut today, I think, as well, because that is just sat in the way, isn't it? But let's get our units out of orbit there, because they're sitting ducks. And we'll try and go over to Argonaut now. So the enemy did retreat out of that battle, so it's not a problem at all. We can just bring in then our forces from Felucia, Lola Sayu, Maradon should be absolutely fine. That's not got any enemies nearby, and we'll take a course from Quell. We do have forces on Ringo Vinda as well, I think we should probably bring, because we haven't actually scouted this out properly. So having said that, we're going to do that now. It doesn't take very long to create a probe droid. Not long at all. We'll bring these dwarf spiders and such over here as well. We will reinforce Juninga very quickly. Actually, we'll just separate some ships out of here. And there is our probe droid created. Give him a lot of frigates, actually. That'd be very nice. Give him a few of these. We can build up later on as well. And that should give him something to play around with later on. I'm just waiting for the game to catch up now. Because we did get split up previously, didn't we, with our fleets? So that'll be something there. Nothing too great though. We are going to need some heavier capital ships in that area, I think. So what's the layout over here? Lot of infantry. They do have a couple heavy factories, so we'll be seeing Juggernauts and ACTs. But we're likely to be dropping over here. Or are we? That's interesting deployment there, actually. Very interesting. Maybe over here we'll have to push our way northwards and be funneled into the enemy base. Interesting. Interesting. So what do we actually have over here? Not quite the forces I would like to see just yet. Bring the crab droids over, because they do have a lot of infantry. And that's actually not looking too bad. A lot of B2s. Definitely waiting for these crab droids to face down the enemy infantry. And we do have a decent amount of anti-tank as well. So let's get going. So, I'm thinking that, of course, we'll want to move so we can actually get some military field base up to begin with. For that extra reinforcements to begin with, we'll pause to bring in everything at once. We can see it, look at the minimap, very much funneled into the enemy base, no matter how I want to approach, really. So that's not a problem. We're going to bring in some crab droids, bring in some B2s for multi-purpose. They do have some flyers. And I think the best thing for that really at the moment might well be the AATs. And we'll bring in some dwarf spiders now, I think. Do you want to do that right now? I think we'll bring in, yeah, we'll bring those in. And then we can push up, of course, straight to this command post for an extra 5 reinforcement points there. We do actually have a command post over here. I'm going to come down and take that, just in case. It's just a bit of a habit when building the turrets on these bases. Try to think for the future. If we do have an enemy try and take this later on, they'll instantly get harassed by the turrets we build here. Not that should happen at Argonaut. We've got some buffer zones around it at the moment. But we'll see. An anti-tank turret there. It's just a habit to get into for myself. Try and get some semblance of a formation going.
Already. Better come up with a plan. Ready to destroy the clone.
And we're going to have to be quick because the enemy's already taken this command post here. So that's going to be a tough one to take hold of. Not overly bothered about taking the sensor array over here, because it's not a map-wide sight bonus anymore in this mod, unfortunately. It's very, very powerful in the base game to get a captured sensor array, because it did give you sight of the whole map.
I hate clones.
And therefore you could just bring in bombardments and bombing runs wherever you wanted, without being impeded. Said we've seen people, that's rather interesting. We're going to have to change one of those to an anti-air weaponry then. We'll put that on our flank. Actually have a lot of flyers, and AAT already out, so rather interesting. We pull back over here and get rid of these flyers. The B2s are able to fire their wrist rockets at them. Very, very good multi-purpose on that. We might actually want to capture this, so that we can make that a back-to-healing station. Because dwarf spider droids are very, very fragile. A lot of stuttering today on the game. It's rather unlucky. That's got destroyed instantly. Lovely stuff. We've seen ATT coming through. So we have to push up over here. get our dwarf spiders in position here. So 80 arties there. This is going to be quite a horrible push because we're funneled. Quite the tight line of sight, unfortunately. Let's pull back a tad so we can get close to our back to healing station. Try and funnel the enemy around. We're not doing too much against that TX-130, unfortunately. So try and distract their fire. Get that while the shields are low. Alright, pull back once again. Might have to turn this into a repair station, unfortunately. Focus, get back the... Already lost so many of these dwarf spiders. Yeah, we may have to pull back.
Turret constructing.
We can bring in a bombing run. Actually, we'll try and do that and try and hold the enemy in place here. Gonna lose a lot of people though doing that. So we can see they have an anti-air weapon over there, so that's just a waste of time, unfortunately. Come back up here with these reinforcements. That might just hit. No, we lost that because of the anti-air weapons there, which is rather unlucky. We need some reinforcements quickly. Let's get an Octup Tower out. More crab droids, more dwarves. Look at that. Okay, so pull these round. Lots of Taras need to come forwards. We'll switch these to concussion so we have help with the infantry here. And we get the Octup Taras and the Dwarf Spiders onto the ATTs, I think, which are unfortunately pulling back. Let's try. We don't have the space to bring in anything else. See how superior the clone troopers are, though, to our own. Look at that. May have to call that a retreat and come back and do that a little more intelligently though. Octup Tower is doing very well. Not quite well enough though, unfortunately. Let's bring these forwards. I'm going to start getting hurt now by the enemy rockets. Right, let's push. Get the Octup Taras onto the ACTs, please. Yeah, very, very fragile. Very, very fragile indeed. The thing is, though, these are from the garrisons automatically built from the enemy buildings, which is rather nasty because we'll likely be seeing more of them. Look at that. Just to get outside of our spawn, that was. Just to get outside of our spawn. Lost so many things. Very, very costly there. Very, very costly indeed. I think an MTT would be useful to deploy more troops later on and to support our infantry. To come over here and heal what we do have. It's just reinforcing that lesson that an infantry push using your least valuable assets to start off with. Always a good idea, but not to worry too much there. We do have a lot of production in this area. And I think for the greater strategic value, I'm quite happy to take these losses at the moment while we can. We do need to take this fight. MTT does come with some very good anti-infantry weaponry. It's very, very slow though. Bombing run available once again, but we know the perils of that already. Is this MTT going to get in range? to move forwards. There we go. That MTT is making a lot of difference there against the enemy infantry. And I would wager that we've cleared the standing garrison on this planet. So we just need to worry about things generated out of their buildings now. Getting held up here because of terrible pathing. We need to come a little wider. And that has allowed, unfortunately, the enemy to destroy our dwarf spiders once again. Take a shot every time we lose a dwarf spider droid. Can we get that before that retreats? Apparently not. We're going to have to push. Give them an attack move order. And just so much more infantry coming out the gates here. I'm going to have to come a little wider though. See how terrible the pathing can be sometimes. Move up, please. ATRT will do a good amount of damage to us, and we need to rush as another ATTE here. Another 2 of them, and that's going to be rather tricky actually. We may have to pull back, use this very briefly, but that might well be shot up by the ATTs. Deploy some more B1s and come out wide once again to give us some room. We can see they actually have a field base of their own which you need to get rid of. Move over here. Yeah, let's get rid of this field base before that spits out more troopers. And then we can move in to actually capture that. It's taking a long time though because we don't have anything really decent against buildings. We have to concentrate fire onto the ATTs now, just focus those down as hard as possible. While the MTT soaks up the damage by the looks of things, I don't mind that so much. That's healing any troopers around us, unfortunately. Let's use the MTT against that. We could just bombard this actually to make that easier, because that will regenerate. Should have thought of that a little earlier. Just a little bit earlier. We will repair the MTT. We have finally secured a forward base, so more supers out, I think, more dwarves. We'll take some true spider droids and we'll take some armored tank droids for now. More supers as well, infantry is always useful. We will of course build, I think, a support structure over here. Okay, so now that we have pushed through a little bit, I think really just want to rush down the enemy's buildings so that we don't see too many more defenders coming out. Unfortunately, just to make sure we're that much safer, and that's where the money really is in this invasion, unfortunately. So we do have a lot of buildings. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 down here. There were 1 or 2 buildings in the northwestern sector, which we saw we scouted through. We're going to pull through here once again. Come out wide. And there's that pesky AA gun. Managed to deal with the enemy flyers fairly easily, despite not having any dedicated anti-air weaponry. It looks like we're very much through the brunt of the enemy attack, through the full force there. So it is really just these buildings we need to deal with now. Yeah, just the meagre garrisons coming out of them. Can see anti-infantry guns, so we're going to just pull back, bring our tanks in. These 2 anti-infantry guns will deal a massive amount of damage, as you might well expect. Come on, actually fire please. That would be great. Excellent stuff. Excellent. Did we have any build pads over here? That's what we're scouting for. Let's try and take this particular command post here.
Pretty impressive.
What have we seen?
We've secured a landing zone. We've secured a build pad.
Yet again, it is proven that machines are superior.
We've lost a build
So there we go, fairly costly losing the Octoptaras and all of those B2s, but B2s especially are quite replaceable.
system conquered.
Need to make sure we do build correctly over here though. So let's bring back over here, drop down what we can and bring some reinforcements I think to Towson and Lantilles. We do have a new mission about. What have we got? Take Ethor for some Sabeth destroyers. That's only the one actually. Not overly worried. I do forget where Ethor is though. Let's see where we want to take our reinforcements that we've just brought. So quite likely to Boz Pissy and Trandosha actually. Lantilles I think is full. It certainly is. Not ideally though. The attack craft, the transports won't do too much in a defense. We're going to want to change those up possibly. Wayland should be fine now with the buildings. That's excellent. We want to build some space over here. Get some static defense going, of course. Want to do the same over on these planets. Orchestus does have a couple buffer planets. This might want to be more of a money maker for us, even with the base of 200 credits. So we're going to want to go for, I think, some tax collection to begin with. We'll go for some buildings over here to fill that out. We're doing absolutely fine actually on things like ship crews. We're not at all low on those. We're getting enough of that. So we don't want to really build naval academies there, unfortunately. I think really just make that a production planet then, really. Sereno certainly wants some stuff over here. I think we'll build some turbo lasers and we can see Ethor over there. Just wait for the game to catch up. That's very sad to see. I do have a decent computer. Come on. Game very much limited by having to run on a single core, isn't it?
Construction complete.
Now having you mission complete by the looks of things. So we should find some hard cell tenders on Onderon. Very nice indeed. Don't believe that's netted us a planet because we've taken pretty much everything we can from the more neutral systems. Onderon, however, is towards this area. That's not really going to help us at the moment, unfortunately. It's rather sad. We'll build up on Decanamoidia once again. What do we actually have on the ground? Might want to change one of the light factories for an ion cannon, perhaps. Let's have a look over here once again. Want some defense. And that should be fine down here. Wants to protect Onderon, I think. Do have a full garrison there. That's absolutely fine then. Do need some turbo lasers, I think, and we'll take a heavy factory. Also take some space defense. Collar 4 certainly needs that as well. Checking our credits, but should be fine there. Not overly worried about the Droidica nest. We've had trouble with Droidicas before. That's rather unlucky about that though, but that does only affect Collar 4 as well, so it's not the greatest use there, I don't think. Do think, once again, we'll go for turbo lasers, and we'll get a heavy factory there to boost that. So the next targets will be things like Quarter 6, so we can cordon off this sector of the galaxy, as well as Kashyyyk and Umbara. Sally Kamai certainly needs to actually be taken care of. That's reminded me of that. We do have some reinforcements over here we should push over. Jaeger as well, perhaps. Let's bring those over to Belderon, I think. I want to use these reinforcements and bring them together, I think, for an extra fleet. Let's come over here then. Just dump those on Towson for now. Come over towards Ringo Vinda. We'll think about Salakamai so that's not just in our backs. Let's make sure this fleet deploys correctly, or as much as we want it to there. Let's come down here though, and have a look to see how our capital ship's doing over here. That's actually doing very, very well indeed. Want to build some bulwarks then, I think.
Unit in production.
Just build a couple. They should be fairly tanky. Let's have a look at the rest of our systems down here, shall we? Devrim needs more units. I think we want to try out some proton cannon over here. Let's get some decent infantry out. And that will be just a couple more units. Get some AATs are always useful. We were going to look at taking Fondor so we can at least close off this pocket and gain ourselves yet another dreadnought tier shipyard. So we're going to build a shipyard over on there, Yagdor, because we did lose that. We're going to build on Sarish a probe droid. We want some more infantry. Take some AA. We'll take some true spiders rather. Some AA and some gunships of our own. That has run down our coffers, unfortunately. We are deploying correctly there.
Construction complete.
We do need a second sizable fleet in this area though, don't we? Because it's a lot of planets to cover and we can't keep responding backwards and forwards with just the one fleet. It's not good enough at all. So wait for our credits to increase once again. I think we'll start by building some frigates though somewhere. We can take the Viceroy once again over to, I think, Slutavan would be a decent place because that's also a dreadnought tier shipyard. And we have going to have to take back Praetors as well.
Construction complete.
So we'll make a couple of these over here. Go back to Tyron. What do we have? A massive, massive fleet on Fondor. They don't have a hypervelocity cannon. Actually, it's not the hugest, is it? Why does it look like it's a massive stack? Because they're preparing a land invasion. That's why. That's a massive spot. So we're going to immediately move over to Yankton.
Logging tactics for future computation.
Construction complete.
And we're going to take that as quickly as possible because that's quite an easy standing fleet, especially since they don't have a hypervelocity cannon over there. Yeah, we are fine. We are going to deploy. Ooh, we caught that just the wrong time. They have reinforced that rather largely. That's rather a shame. I wish we spotted that so much earlier. Because they have 2 Praetors there. That, then, is where they went from the north over here. And that might have to be a retreat out, unfortunately. Very, very sad to say. Okay, so, not at all confident with this battle, unfortunately. Very much dragged in by these units over here. What we might want to do then is bring in some carriers. Bring in a couple over here. Bring in a couple over here. Are these captors? They are. And what we'll do is we'll take these in, spread them out in a second, let our fighters come up, destroy the interdiction mines, and order a retreat really. Maybe get our fighters while we're retreating if possible to get some of the enemy landing ships over here. But otherwise we're going to be avoiding this massive fleet because they can even bring in a second Praetor, which is going to be very, very horrible indeed. Let's come straight into that with bombers as well. Could use our fighters and bombers to maybe destroy a larger ship, perhaps a victory maybe, but that would take a lot. That's very sad there. Take a lot of work, a lot of patience. Going to move over towards this particular interdiction mine because they do have multiple mines. Really we want these to come in all together, don't we? I think we'll just wait around for everything over here. Okay, we'll just move around that.
Cruiser reporting.
Do see a lot of bombers coming in, but they have spread out their fleet, so going straight through and into the
Gunship reporting. Batteries online.
into the interdiction mines is not necessarily going to be too difficult. Let's go straight in there. More worried about this side. We're going to have to come in from this sort of approach. We could try and nab some of these because they do have some rather nasty tanks in there. What exactly are these ones? Fighter bombers. Tell you what, we'll bring these back and destroy the Y-wings going for our ships. Now, it shouldn't take too long to destroy this mine, depends on our accuracy. Fighters should be best for that. But we're having a bit of trouble. There we go, that one's down. Do they have any more in this particular area? Let's pause very quickly. Is it just the 2 they have? So far they do, but they do have pelters to make us sad about that. So let's come around here and try and get these stragglers around here. You see so many Y-wings coming around there. How are we doing over on this end? Trying to destroy something else over there. We can go for that in a second though. That's that. So let's try and get some of these. Think of the greater good. Don't necessarily mind sacrificing these smaller ships for the minute,
At your command.
if that means we can destroy some very, very valuable ground units. But we're getting course up. Getting very course up. Going to be a lot of micro. Going to actually command group some of these. So we can just flick through. Do we have any reinforcements coming out? They are protecting our ships over here, that's good. No reinforcements from this end. The problem is we don't know exactly what we're attacking when it comes to these transports. Do we see any more? We do see some interdiction lines. I'll go for them.
Our primary engine system is down.
Yeah, they're coming in full force in this direction. We're going to... Do you want to sacrifice some Gazantes as well, actually? The things you do just to pull out. Okay, let's get the Gazantes over here and try and distract the enemy.
Location confirmed.
Bombers can come round. Go for the interdiction mines. Don't think there's too much we can do about that, unfortunately. Let's go for this interdiction mine over here. Well, we did have to come out of that one before we retreated, unfortunately. We did get all of our deployed units destroyed, but we did manage to pick off the Falchion, which is very nice indeed. UT-80, some tanks. I would have loved to have got something a little more high value, but we are going to have to wait over here, unfortunately. If we are going to defend Yankton, do we want to swap out something very quickly for an ion cannon? That might have to be the case. Swap out the heavy factory for one of those, I think.
Building under construction.
Bring in all reinforcements now and build some hangars, carriers rather. Build some point defense. Build something larger as well there to help out. We'll build some captors, build some of these. How we're doing on Swiss Van. Do have a little bit of time to wait, unfortunately. Because if they could go for Bestine or Sarash as well. Very much a standoff, isn't it? Let's try and get on the offensive somewhere though. Let's try and go for Salakamite. Let's build a probe droid over here. About to invade Yankton. Okay, we know what that's going to be then. Just got the message. Very, very sad to say that we don't have the ion cannon ready, unfortunately.
Assault Brigadier.
Roger, roger.
Do have a bulwark up. That will not be in time though, will
We're
it?
on our way.
Said they're about to invade Yankton. I think the thought of making multiple fleets for the minute has just been thrown to the wind. This should be fairly decent, this invasion. Let's go for this while they're weak. Just double checking we are coming in properly over here. So this shouldn't be too difficult whatsoever. Just the standing golems, the Haven, and of course this invincible dreadnaught, which should be a finite resource now for the enemy. We should be well into the game so that they've transitioned from these to victories. I would much prefer to see these over a massive victories and Praetors and such. And now we have these fighters up, which is excellent. Let's go for the assault concussion missile, medium quads. Let's just stop here because I want to fire rather than move. Thank you very much. We should well be in range there. Let's do an attack move ahead with our fighters, get our bombers onto these ships in the back because we're ripping apart this invincible dreadnought here.
Target turret. Destroy turret.
Get the fighter bay.
Dispose of turret.
And that's a lot less damage for us to take there. Let's go for the Carrack. And get rid of the fighters to protect our own bombers. A massive amount of missiles and such there. Getting hit by the ion weapon, which will make way for our bombs. Just rip apart that dreadnought there, which is excellent. Don't know why that's come so far back. And that will let us just steamroll through to the Golems. So we did actually lose a immune effects frigate over there, but it's not to worry. We're going to need a lot of anti-infantry and some anti-tank once again. Of course, always in need of those two. That is, of course, all you can really have in your armies in such a new mission. Let's see. Gets 2 heavy factories. We get a dreadnought heavy cruiser. That's not necessarily bad, actually. So 2 heavy factories isn't necessarily difficult. We will want to bring in our forces from Mon Calamari because they're just sat idly by and forgotten about otherwise. Once again, waiting for the game to catch up. And that should be enough to take Sally Command fairly easily. Let's come back down here.
Nice grouping.
Trying to find any empty slots for the mission over here. Enemy fleets approaching. Do we get something? Enemy fleets about to invade Yankton. Okay, we do have the ion cannon now. And we do have a lot of ships as well. But will it be good enough? I'm a bit scared that we don't have enough frigates. Let's press play because otherwise it's never going to happen.
Tactical battle.
And there we go. So, what do we have? What do we have? We have a hero. See what he comes in the form of. Comes in the form of a Venator. Okay. We also have a minor hero over here, just a fleet commander to provide the bonus there. We have 4 Acclamator 2s, an Acclamator Assault, and we have, of course, a Praetor. We have 15 Venators, 4 Victory 2s, 9 Victory 1s. We're going to need more than 1 ion cannon here, aren't we? Well, let's just go for it. And I thought we had more than 1 static defense over here, but not to worry. Let's pull back. Let's pull back with a few things.
Power up, are you?
Do we have any reinforcements to bring? We do not start with our 2 bulwarks. That's not necessarily bad. We do start with our hero though, and I'd rather he sat back so we don't actually lose him immediately. Come over here a tad. What might be an idea is to actually try and draw the enemy into the asteroids over here, so we're not going to pull back too hard.
Machines are superior.
Of course, bring fighters as such in front. Spread out a tad.
Activated.
What are we in range of here? What are we firing at? Perhaps the Acclamators ahead. Not necessarily bad that we're letting them come forwards because the Acclamators and such are just that much quicker than the Praetor. Let's come back here with that. We didn't mean to move the Omni as well.
Was your main reticle recently calibrated?
Come forwards with our bombers and tri-fighters here. Just try and pick off an Acclamator perhaps. This is the minor fleet commander over here. And while that's open, it's not necessarily bad at all. Let's get these on screen over here because they'll be deploying fighters very shortly. Come back a tab before that gets ripped up. Pull forwards with the point defense. Come back with the carriers. Yeah, they're ripping apart our Omni there. Absolutely ripping that apart. Come for the Venator, please. Actually, focus completely on the Venator. Maybe should have gone for this hero first, but this one's so far ahead. Move over here. They're avoiding the asteroids, which is rather a shame. Would have loved that. For those that don't know, the asteroids do cause passive damage to the enemy if they stay in there. That's, of course, true for us. Over here, please. I don't think we have any true bombers on this side, unfortunately. So it's going to be fairly slow damage this Venator. All of our bombers are over on this end. Let's get our frigates then to assist. And we should be in range
Initial objective.
with some of the weapons on the Lukahawk. And that is in fact the case. Let's go then for, I think we're going to have to go for this ship over here. And they're actually retreating. That is rather interesting. Let's try and get this guy's engines, but I don't think it's going to happen because he does have his shields up. We only have a few seconds left. That is probably the softest standoff I've seen. But we'll happily take that if they're going to say no to fight this. They didn't actually get the use out of our ion cannon, but not to worry. Wasn't fully needed in that little encounter. It was very sad to say goodbye to the Omni, but not the greatest loss there. We'll just do very minor damage to their fleets here and there. But everyone, that is unfortunately all we have time for today. Rather a hectic one, rather standoff on Fondor, and that will continue because look at everything they have over there. That, I would wager, is their fleets. That's their fleets. Because we've not seen anything else really attack us, have we, recently? They've been spreading these two Praetors about, and we need to find a way of putting a roadblock against that. And I think really, letting them come in and out as they please, picking at them here and there is the way to go. But of course, that's not always on our own terms. So the standoff of Fondor will be coming back, and I shall see you in the future. May all of your nights and days be auspicious. Goodbye.